Hey there, I'm Alan Matthews from Classical Guitar Shed, and in this video we're going to talk about a way that you can practice so that you make better musical decisions, you sound better in performance, and all the expression and beauty of your music can come out every single time you play in 2 seconds. So whenever we are practicing the classical guitar, we have certain goals, and the goals of our practice on the classical guitar is to learn pieces of music and ingrain them in our memories and in our hands so that we can play it at a high level for ourselves, for other people, for the cat, for whoever. The point is to learn the music, and the point is to be able to play it beautifully. Well, one of the problems we encounter whenever we perform is that all of our musical choices, swells and fades, and be really bright and crispy right here and be really warm and luscious right here, all of that gets very bland. So while we think we have this wide range and we're just being so demonstrative, really, if you record it, you oftentimes hear that it actually compresses and it just sounds monotone and bland. And we hear it as players, we think that we're doing all these crazy things, but really no one else can hear those ideas. So we think we're getting louder, but we're not getting that much louder, and so people can't actually hear that. So, and we can find this if we record it, which is a great practice technique in itself. So how then can we make it so that we always can know whenever we perform that we will play expressively and beautifully? And one answer to that question is to exaggerate everything wildly in practice. So if you want it to be this nice little ba-da-bum, something like that, then in practice you would exaggerate however that is. So if you wanted it to be snappy, then you would make it really loud. If something is loud, make it really loud. If something is quiet, make it really quiet. If something wants to swell from very, very quiet up to very, very loud. So be clownish and just absolutely ridiculous in everything that you do. If something is quiet, then play it quieter than you would ever play it. Barely inaudibly, just with absolute crisp rhythm and articulation and everything just absolutely on, but super quiet. And then quieter than that even. Like, see how quiet you can play. Just as a side note, quiet volumes are the gold mine of the guitar. That is what makes the loud seem loud, because the guitar isn't really all that loud. So if you want your guitar to seem louder and you just increase the overall, it's called dynamics, it's the volume range, then work on your very quiet. It's easy to play loud. It's very difficult to play super quiet and super precise. So that's a way to do it. But in your practice, to do that, exaggerate. What this does, it also teaches us to listen so much more. It teaches us to make musical decisions for our things, because we're going to exaggerate it. We have to know what we're doing. And oftentimes we don't know what we're doing. So we haven't made a decision of, I want to get louder right here. Well, to do that, we have to make the decision, okay, well, here I'm going to get louder. And so it forces us to make musical decisions, to listen to our music more closely for the precision and the rhythmic accuracy. And then when we're playing for people, it's still going to compress. It's still going to be less than when we practice. But now, since we've been practicing like this, when it compresses, it's to here. Whereas before we practiced here and it compresses to here. So that brings us so much more drama into our playing and into our performances. And as another bonus, it gives us something to do when we are performing. Ideally, if we're going to perform for people, if we're not going to be nervous and talk to ourselves and just train wreck ourselves in our heads, we have to do something. We have to pay attention to something. And doing this, making all these little musical decisions, do I swell here, do I fade here, do I let this note pop out, whatever it is, then what that does is it gives us something to pay attention to in practice and in performance. It teaches us to focus, to pay attention, and then in performance it actually gives us something to do so that we don't have time to talk to ourselves and mess ourselves up. All kind of bonuses. To read more about this notion, you can go to classicalguitarshed.com/exaggeration. That's classicalguitarshed.com. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and see you soon. Bye.